in '91, I became a full-time dog trainer. And I've been training dogs since '91. And I have marketed my business towards setter people because setters are my first love. And fortunately, there were very few setter breeders or trainers in the Southeast, so it was a good market for me to move into. Over the last 25 years, I have created a breeding program that I've been unable to find anything like it in the world. And I've looked through YouTube and the internet everywhere, and I can find no one that's doing what I do with puppies. What happens is, obviously you have to start with the first dog, and it goes all the way back to both Sarah and Dixie, my first two dogs. But from every litter, I obviously kept the best dogs. And one thing that I would advise anyone that's going to go to a breeder, look for breeders that keep the best dogs. If you buy from someone that sells every puppy in the litter, he's not creating a breeding program that's going to be strong. He's simply selling puppies. And there are times when I'll keep an entire litter for 3 or 4 years to make the right decisions on who should be bred and who shouldn't. But what happens is, after 3 or 4 generations of selectively breeding and picking for the dogs that start early and show the most bird ability and also show intelligence and the other traits that I want, those traits have become fixed in my line of dogs. And to go along with that, I've developed a way of training, which, for lack of a better thing, I've started calling the Sarahsetter way, where I actually take a litter of puppies, and if you think about it, with humans, the doctors tell us all to, or tell women all to stay active, to read to the baby in the womb, bicycle, play classical music for your children. Well, that's what nature has always done for wild animals. Is that mama is out experiencing life, she's carrying her babies with her, and she gets those experiences. When you go to a large breeding kennel that typically would have what's known as a brood bitch, that dog gets bred and she gets put in a kennel, and they don't get her out until she's ready to have her puppies. So there's no stimulation for her. So my goal with my females is to provide a lot of stimulation. I carry them home with me every night. I ride them in the truck if the weather's permissible to go to lunch. They run in the field every day while they're pregnant. Old timers always said that you made better puppies if the mother hunted, and there's a reason for that. It's the way nature has always done it. Now, once those puppies are born, there was something developed by the military back in the late 60s and 70s called the Early Neurological Stimulation Program. And what they learned is that when they handled puppies in a particular manner, between 3 days and 14 days, what it did was it enabled the adrenal systems to start reacting earlier, and it enabled those dogs to handle stress better for the rest of their lives. And that's what the military was looking for. They were looking for ways to make war dogs more stable. And what it equates to is the same thing that happens in nature. A mama coyote, a wolf, or fox, they have their babies, and about 3 days, the mother has to leave the den, so she goes out to search for food for the first time. But when she leaves, those babies are exposed to the elements of nature. It can get cold, it can rain, insects can come in, or another animal could come in. And mother may have a very bad hunt, and she's got to stay out for 6 hours before she can get back to her babies. So nature has always provided those types of stimulation, which created survival of the fittest. You would lose some of those babies, but the ones that made it were better. And you look at the flip side of it with humans, in every litter of puppies we try to raise, we have heat on the puppies, we try to keep them all quiet, and we're doing everything backwards. We're taking out all of those things that stimulated development of those babies in an effort to make better dogs, and we've done it backwards. The other part of what I do is really neat, because I do something called clicker training, which is a system of positive reinforcement for people that aren't aware of it. But I do it very early in a puppy's life. I actually start clicker training around 7 weeks of age, and I clicker train for 5 weeks. The goal here is to teach them to stand still. Whoop, don't fall off. Good. And this is a greedy puppy. He's got to reach out and try to grab it. And if they sit, simply walk around to the other side so they stand. He's gotten pretty good about getting back up if he sits. Training with the clicker is a system of positive reinforcement. It was actually developed by the lady that trained the first dolphins. Of course, they use fish and whistles. And you only reward what's right and you ignore what's wrong. And it's amazing how fast animals can learn, and they'll do what they did before to get another treat. And as they get better, I start moving around and add distractions. Kennel. And they've been taught to sit in the kennel. Obviously, if they're sitting, it's less likely they're going to move.